Hello, fellow yappers. I'm Ruchi.
And I'm Shalini, and we're your hosts of Binge, Yap, Repeat.
We're two best friends who spend an embarrassing amount of time binge watching TV, and honestly, we just need to talk about it. If you're here, we're guessing you do too.
Fair warning, this is a spoiler-friendly zone. We will be discussing lots of spoilers. So, if you haven't watched the show yet, hit pause, go binge, and come back when you're ready to yap with us.
And now, it's yap time. Hello, fellow yappers. I'm recording this in Austin, which means I've officially moved out of New York. And on route to the Bay Area, where Shalini and I will officially be reunited in person.
Hell yeah.
Looking forward to that. Another thing to look forward to, Shalini and I are planning to do a new segment of the show called Currently Binging Corner. I don't know. That name sucks. We should think about
We'll workshop the name. We're
gonna workshop it. Anyway, this new segment will be where Shalini and I will talk about other shows or movies that we're watching or have binged in between our last Binge Yap Repeat episode, because one show is not enough for us. We constantly be watching. ABW, always be watching.
Which actually, now that we're doing this podcast, it's really showing me how much TV I watch, because not only are we watching, I don't know, a whole new show per week, I think, for this podcast, we are also binging other things.
For 2 days.
2 days. True.
Today we'll be talking about 4 Seasons, which came out, what was it, Thursday, May 1st? And it is currently May 4th. So
I've been done for 2 days.
Yeah, seriously. We're like, is it time to record yet? Because I'm gonna lose all this information in my head. Okay, well, I guess we can get started. Like I said, today we'll be talking about 4 Seasons. The episode synopsis from Netflix is as follows. The decades-long friendship between 3 married couples is tested when one divorces, complicating their tradition of quarterly weekend getaways. The show stars Tina Fey, Steve Carell, and a bunch of other A-listers. So I'll hand it over to you, Shalini, for your overall thoughts.
I loved this show so much. If it wasn't obvious, listeners, by the speed at which I consumed this show, I think I watched the first 5 episodes on Thursday when it came out, and the only reason I stopped is because it was like an hour and a half past my bedtime, and I was like, I need to stop here.
An hour and a half past 8:40?
Okay. It was 11 p.m., okay?
Be honest.
But yeah, I really loved this show. There were laughs, there were tears. I think it just hit the perfect combination of comedy and like heart-wrenching drama and like fun storylines and cute characters that I felt so much emotional connection to. So I loved this show.
Yeah, I also really loved it. I knew that I loved it when I would watch like a couple episodes at a time, and in between the episodes, when I was just like going about my day, I would be thinking like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen next, or like I feel a sense of loss that like I wasn't watching the show. So I think that's always the hallmark of a good show, when you're like thinking about it even when you're not watching it. So yeah, I super loved it. Also, a lot of great one-liners.
Yeah,
Like super cute.
I did you write any down? Because I don't think I wrote anything down, but I definitely burst out laughing a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was okay, a couple of things that I wrote down. Okay, maybe this isn't a one-liner, but she was like, okay, why don't you, it was Tina Fey talking to Jack, was her husband, right? So Kate talking to Jack. Tina Fey always plays a character named Kate. Have you noticed that? So weird. I feel like she's always playing a Kate.
Really? What did she
Okay,
play in other things?
well, I started watching Sisters, like the movie with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler,
Oh.
and she also plays a Kate in that movie. And I watched Sisters like right after finished 4 seasons because I was like, I have Tina Fey withdrawal symptoms, so I started watching Sisters, and I was like, why is she also Kate in this?
Interesting.
Yeah, but very different Kate, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Sisters, she's like a hairdresser, like a crazy, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
not like a stable, cynical Kate, and that she was in 4 seasons. Anyway, going back to what I actually wrote down, she told Jack to kind of sit down and like take a breather and just like rest for a little bit because this was in episode 2 where they are understanding like, oh, should they tell Anne what Nick is
Mm.
feeling or not? And then Jack was feeling really scared about it, and so she was like, okay, take a seat. Let me give you a banana, and he's like, okay, and then she pulls out the banana and gives it to him, and it's like black.
And he's like, "Is this the only banana you have?"
Yeah, exactly. I was like, the number of times I've pulled out a banana from my bag, it's just black. Anyway, so I really laughed at that. And then I think the one where Anne and Kay are sitting on the stoop, and then Anne says, oh, it's so late. I'm so exhausted. Must be like, what, 4 a.m.? And then Kate takes out her phone and she's like, it is 8:40. And that I laughed at that part too.
Yes, yes, that was so good. I was like, damn, she just like me for real.
Yeah. So good. Okay, one major thing that I wanted to discuss. What did you think about the way that they talked about and portrayed Ginny in the
Mm,
show? Because Ginny is supposed to be kind of like this younger woman, honestly, girl, the way that they are talking about her. And she's dating Nick, and she's like meant to be like a different generation, but like in general, not very grounded, very, very young. Um, but then they say that she's 32, which is our age. And so I wondered how you thought about that because I was like, okay, I guess this would make sense if Ginny was like a 25-year-old, maybe. I can kind of see this, how she would be like Gen Z. But if she's 32, that's like fully millennial. So I was confused by that.
yeah, I also thought that was really interesting that they made her 32 and not in her 20s. I, as a fellow almost, yeah, basically 32-year-old, I would not be staying in that hotel that they stayed
Yeah.
in the summer episodes. I felt like she was portrayed as a way more youthful soul than most 32-year-olds I know.
Yeah.
At the same time, I thought they did a good job of giving her character depth and maturity, especially in the fall season when she is like, Nick, I didn't want to come here, and
Mm,
you like told me to come here, and it's uncomfortable because I'm here. This is why I didn't want to come here, you know? And then she gives the family and friends so much grace during the funeral when it happens. And so I thought the way they built her character over the, I guess, 6 episodes that she's in, you could tell that she's in her 30s, I thought, in
mm.
that. But definitely when they first introduce her in the summer episode, when they're at that beach resort, it's like, oh, this girl's a child, you know? And I think
Yeah.
they were just going for the shock factor. That's how I interpreted it. It was more of like the shock factor, but then if you actually take a look at like their entire relationship, like you could actually tell that she was pretty mature.
Yeah. And maybe that kind of relates to what Coleman Domingo, I forget his name, Danny, what he said to Nick when he was like, you know, in a May-December relationship, the Decembers have to take the Mays like up to the December level rather than like go to the May level. And maybe that's kind of what we saw over the course of the relationship and over the course of the seasons is Nick pulling Ginny up in quotes to the more
Hmm.
mature level, even though I guess you could argue that it wasn't like he was super mature either. So
Yeah. I don't know if I would give Nick credit for her becoming mature. I think she was always mature. They just like introduce her character as this fun-loving gal in the beginning.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, that is also kind of crazy in the beginning where they mentioned that she was the one who planned the whole trip for them after 5 weeks of dating Nick. That's crazy. I would never.
Yeah. Like, okay, if they've been dating for 5 weeks, when did they plan this trip?
Yeah,
Week two of their
seriously.
relationship?
Seriously. Yeah.
What?
Or maybe
Yeah.
if we were to give them a little bit of credit, maybe it was like a they started planning it after they had been dating for 5 weeks, but then implied that it was probably dating for longer. So maybe they were dating for like 2 months when they started planning the trip. And then when they actually did the trip, it
Yeah.
was some months later. Kind of hard to tell.
Maybe. I mean, it can only have been around 3 months since spring, right?
That's true. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I guess,
Timeline's so.
yeah, seriously. Well, I guess like regardless of how old she actually is, like if she's 32 and or if she was supposed to be portrayed as younger, even if she's 32, it still didn't pass the divide by 2 plus 7 rule, is what I wrote down,
True. Oh, yeah.
right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
because
he's
he was what,
34.
54? So
So it'd be 27
27,
plus 7 is 34.
34. Not
Kind of sad.
quite.
Yeah.
No wonder Lila was so upset.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ooh,
for
should
many
we talk
reasons,
about
but
the play?
yes.
What did you think?
It's like it reminded me of uh so in How I Met Your Mother, actually I'm gonna bring up How I Met Your Mother again because Jack was also in How I Met Your Mother.
Oh,
The
okay.
actor that plays Jack. But in How I Met Your Mother, there's this episode where Lily is in this like off Broadway performance and she makes all of her friends go to it and it's terrible. And they're like, why did you make us sit through that for 2 hours? That's what it felt like. It was just like, what? Like, you clearly have a message you're sending, but is
Yeah.
this how you wanted to send it?
Yeah.
It was
Well,
not high quality production, I would say.
to Anne's point, we should look at what she is saying instead of trying to correct how she is saying it.
I wrote down that quote because that was just so insightful and I think
Yes.
needs to be said in so many situations.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Also need to remind myself of that. Gotta get this in.
Yeah.
The one thing that I didn't like about Lila's play is that when she brought the witch out and she was like, "This witch is my mother," I was like, "Uh?"
I know. I didn't know why she did that because then she clearly felt really close to her mom. So why did she portray her mom as a witch?
Yeah, but maybe that was also kind of related to the fact that she was like, "Oh, mom is broken and it's all your fault that mom is broken." And then Anne was
Mhm.
like, what?" Like, I
I'm
wouldn't
not.
say that.
I'm fine.
Yeah, like, I'm good. Well, not good, but like not like broken,
Not broken. Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
shell. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about just Anne and Nick in general?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts when in episode was it episode one that I think it's the end of episode one, right? That Nick tells his friends that he's planning on leaving Anne. Yeah,
Yes.
what did you how did you feel in that moment?
I think I understood a little bit, um, in the sense of, yeah, like if you're together for 25 years with this person, then maybe it does make sense that you've started to feel a certain type of way in year 5, but it was like, sunk cost fallacy where you're already too invested that you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep on trucking. And then you realize 25 years later that you weren't actually happy to begin with and that there is another life out there for you. So I kind of understood that. I think what I didn't like though is when he started the summer season with Ginny, I was like, oh, the hell? That's where I was like, Bro, really?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think when he revealed that and explained why, and was like, she's given up. She never wants to do anything. I've been trying to get her to do this. I've been trying to do this. I've been trying to do that. She just does, all she wants to do is play Farmville.
Yeah, I did write that down. I was like, she's playing Farmville.
She playing Thronglets?
Not playing Thronglets. That would be a crazy universe overlap.
But yeah, I really, really empathized with him in that moment, because it can't be easy to come to terms with the fact that your wife really is not the person that you married 25 years ago. And just, it's hard when you're in I mean, I've not been in a relationship anywhere close to 25 years long, but I'm sure that I've experienced this in the relationships I have been in of like 2, 3 years, where when you're in it, it's so hard to zoom out and take stock of whether you're happy or not, because you're just in it and that's, your life. And so I do admire him for recognizing his unhappiness and doing something about it. And, he did give her so many chances to change. He was like trying to bring her along to things and built her the pottery studio and tried to get her interested in something. So I totally understood his perspective of not wanting to be with someone that was so done with the excitement of life.
Yeah.
However, I also agree that his villain arc started in the summer episodes when were they in the Bahamas
I
or
couldn't tell where
something?
they
Okay.
were. I
Yeah.
think it was somewhere in South America, right?
South America? Okay. I'm not
I don't
sure.
know.
I don't know.
Unclear.
Caribbean-esque. Okay. That's when his villain arc started, and I thought that's when he started being pretty selfish and not recognizing, how his actions affected not only his marriage, but also his friends.
Yeah.
And, he just wasn't the most proactively empathetic to that. And then, oh my God, in the fall episode when he kept making it about himself and Ginny at Lila and was like, you need to apologize to Ginny. I was like, dude, you are not getting it. You have not spent 1 second trying to make Lila feel okay about what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then, so that, I guess that's on the Nick side. And then on the Anne side, if I was Nick, I would be very frustrated with her too in the spring episodes. But then summer onward, I just felt so sad for her. And it gave me like a whole new anxiety about marriage, Like, not only do I have to be worried about whether I'm gonna get married or not, now I have to be worried about my husband leaving me 25 years later.
I don't think so.
It's just like you never know, I feel like people our age are like, okay, great, I found my person. Great.
Yeah. But I think that's what makes community honestly so much more important, right? Where it's like, okay, in today's day and age, um, I mean, yes, life is easier if you are going through it with a partner, but the more community that one has, like especially with, our group of friends all in kind of one place, it actually makes life events like that a lot easier because you kind of have a lot more people to spread the emotional burden across, you know what I mean? I don't know if
But
I'm saying this right, but
are you saying that even if someone went through what Nick or what Anne went through, because we have community, we could get through it, or because we have community, it's less likely to happen?
or because we have community, we can get through it. Like if something like that were to happen, but like I was living in like with like within an hour's drive of like all of our friends, I would be like, my life isn't that different, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Okay. Yeah. True.
It's
True.
not something to worry about, is what I'm saying. Like
Okay.
obviously it would be bad if it happened, but like you wouldn't be alone if it happened to any of us.
Totally, totally. Yeah, it just made me really think about super long-term relationships and marriage in general, where, yeah, so much life happens between getting married and staying married for the rest of your
Yeah.
life. It's totally understandable that people change that much. It's just a whole new fear that unlocked in me. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
weird. I was like, dang, I can totally see how this happens. And of course, for 25 years, they thought they were each other's soulmate.
Yeah. This is a spicy question, but Jing actually asked me this question. She was like, "Do you think you could get divorced?" I was like,
What?
yeah, okay, just like think, just let it marinate a little bit. But she was like, I think I could get divorced. Okay, for context, Jing is our friend who is currently single, but it's like, what is this out of pocket question?
Yeah, that's such a funny way to phrase it too. It's like, it's not like if your partner cheated on you, would you get divorced? It's
Yeah,
could you get
could you get
divorced
divorced? But I think
for any reason?
yes, exactly. I think like that's what I think the underlying question is like when it comes down to it, if you realize that you are not happy in a relationship for whatever reason, like would you at that moment get divorced?
Mm, I think there are certain things where I definitely would. I think if my partner was violent and or violent towards kids, for sure. If there was cheating involved and we did not have kids, probably. For reasons where I just don't like him anymore. I don't know. I
So
honestly don't know.
if you were in the Nick and Anne situation and you were Nick, like would you
Yeah,
also
I
have
mean,
this?
I don't know. That's like because I was thinking back to my last relationship, and I think both of us, to be honest, were probably unhappy for a while, and we just didn't recognize it because we were just so used to being in each other's lives.
Mm,
And so I don't, I think maybe if I was given that much time to a certain extent, I would, but I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm like, I'm very impressed with Nick that he came to that realization and did
yeah.
something about it. How about
Yeah.
you?
Well, in this conversation with Jing, I was like, yeah, probably.
Okay. Okay, for the record, I think I have only been broken up with, and I think you have only been the dumper, right? In your relationship
Been
history?
broken up with. I've been
Okay,
broken
okay,
up.
okay.
Yeah. I think twice, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, majority I have broken.
Majority you okay, okay. Yeah. So I guess we're coming at this from different angles because I'm like, I've never ended a relationship before. Like, I don't know. And you're like, yeah.
Cut it. Snip, snip.
Get off.
Yeah. How did we get here?
How did we get? Oh, we were talking about Nick and Anne.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think okay, so here's another question. I really was rooting for Nick and Ginny to fail. I started episode 4 of the summer season, summer episode 2, like wanting them to break up. And I think that's probably how the rest of their friend group felt too, right? So I guess if we put ourselves in like the friend group shoes, let's say one of our friends, husbands, whatever, a couple that we hung out with, if they split up and then someone started dating like a much younger, let's say the dude started dating a much younger woman, I would be like, fuck that guy. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm going on vacation with that guy. What the hell? So I was kind of like, dang, they're still going on vacation with like him and this other girl that he happens to be dating, and they didn't cut him out of the friend group.
No, I'm like, why did I mean she didn't get cut out of the group, but like, why was she the one not going to the Bahamas or whatever?
Yeah. Like,
Wasn't
why
it
did they
her
not go with
idea?
her? Yeah. No, was it her idea? I don't know. I don't think so.
I thought in the spring episode she was like, we should go to the Bahamas, and then someone was like, should we just book it now?
Oh, you're so right.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was Thailand, not the Bahamas.
Oh.
But then they didn't go to Thailand.
Oh, maybe. Oh, maybe. Okay, I might be getting that wrong. Um, but
Regardless, yes. Like, why did they
regardless,
not?
yes.
Why was their first vacation as a friend group, as a quarterly weekend getaway friend group with with Nick
Nick and not
and not
Anne.
Anne. Yeah.
What the hell? You're so right.
Seriously. Maybe that's
Ugh,
how Nick convinced everyone to go to go on vacation with them is because Ginny planned it. Like that's how he made it happen.
dude. I don't know. Also, Jack at one point when he was in the yurt with Kate, he was like, "I'm not like Nick. I'm a good guy." And I was like, "Okay, you shouldn't say that." But also, yeah, it's clear that he's judging Nick so much for what
Yeah.
he's doing.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good segue. Should we talk about Kate and Jack's relationship?
Yeah.
I thought their relationship was interesting because I think theirs was kind of like the third to fall in quotes, not really to fall, but to like go through a rough patch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought they were really cute up until a point, and then I was like, this Jack guy doesn't do shit. And then I started hating Jack more too. Um,
No way. I
yeah,
started hating Kate. I was like,
really?
poor Jack is such a nice guy, and Kate's out here finding issues. Like, you don't have to be annoyed about this tray in the hotel room. You don't put
Oh,
it in the
true.
hallway. Like, I feel like he was doing things with such pure good intentions, and like, she was just annoyed at him for it.
Okay, but the sandwich scene where he was like, "Oh, it's totally fine," takes off all of the toppings of the sandwich and puts the breakfast in the bread and eats that. I would have been like, "Don't lie to me. Like, it's fine if you don't want the sandwich. I'm sorry. I should have gotten you number seven, but
As a fellow people pleaser like Jack, I might have had a similar reaction. I actually think I would have said it's totally fine and just eaten it.
yeah, that's true. That's no, that's true. That's true. I was like, if you're gonna be a people pleaser, please the person.
Yeah, like
Like,
actually
eat the
just
sandwich.
eat the sandwich.
Yeah. There's like this Instagram reel that I found that was like, "Oh, you're a people pleaser? How many people are pleased with you?" And I was like, "Oh no."
Damn.
Name them, count them.
Jeez.
Like, don't even come for me.
Okay, but going back to Jack and Kate, I thought they were super cute. I'm actually surprised. I think it made sense for them to have a conflict also because that's just how, shows are. But it was sad to me that they had a conflict because I thought that they were the only couple that was communicating with each other.
Yeah.
And, even if they had mini beef, like when he was flirting with Ginny or whatever, and she told that story about how he shit his pants and then had to buy Cole's pants. Um,
Oh, I did think that was bad. I didn't
that
like
was
how she did
bad.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was ugly of her. Even when that stuff happened, both of them just apologized so quickly for it and proactively. They weren't like they didn't even have to explain why it upset them for their
Mhm.
partner to really apologize. So I was like, "Oh, look at this mature couple." And I just thought they would be kind of that like anchor couple and we would be
Mhm.
watching all of these other couples fall apart from their perspective. That's how I thought
Mm.
the show was going to go up until fall.
Yeah.
And then fall, I was like, oh, okay, now they're going through some shit. But um,
I guess,
yeah,
what did you think of that at last, the second episode in fall? I think where it ended, they were in the car and they were like, "We're gonna have to go through therapy, aren't we?" And then they were both like, again, yeah,
yeah.
like I actually didn't really understand that scene.
I think I think that was them coming to terms with the fact that they're not okay. Like before it was spoken out loud, they were in denial a little bit about it, but then when it was said out loud, they were like, fuck, yeah, we do. This
Mm.
is our reality. This is real. That's how I
Mhm.
interpreted it.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I guess it was just like interesting, the way that they were super loud and angry about it, I guess. I think like that's what I didn't
Yeah,
really understand. I think in that
maybe
moment
that
I
was
felt like I would be more despondent rather than angry.
maybe that was for comedic effect also. Just like, ah, we gotta go to therapy, don't we? Fuck! And then like cut scene, you know?
Yeah, okay, true.
Um, okay. Speaking of Jack, so he was a character in How I Met Your Mother. His name, if I recall, was Randy. And he famously got nosebleeds whenever he had an erection. That was like his thing. in How I Met Your Mother.
Wow, how
Um,
anime of him.
oh, is that an anime thing?
Oh yeah, I don't really understand why, but I that was like a thing that in animes, if someone's having like perverted thoughts or like hentai thoughts, they get a nosebleed.
Interesting. Maybe
Yeah,
that was the inspiration for that. Wow.
maybe. I didn't really understand it as a kid. I was like, oh, I guess that people get nosebleeds when they're aroused. I don't understand.
In How I Met Your Mother, his character Randy brews beer, and his last name is Warmpus. His name is Randy Warmpus, and so the beer is called Warm Piss.
Oh, like
Warmpus
warm
beer.
pit here. Okay.
Yeah. And in the first spring episode, he makes a speech at dinner, in front of his whole friend group, and he's like, "Go us for not becoming any of those couples whose whole personality it is to make craft beer." And I was like, "Randy, you did used to make craft beer, Randy."
Do you think that was a Hymn reference?
I don't know. I don't know, maybe.
Wow. Oh, that'd be funny if it was. Good
Yeah.
catch. I'm gonna believe that it was. Good job. Okay, should we do the last couple?
Yes, Danny and Claude.
Fanny and Claude. I love them so much. I actually think that they were really good communicators too. Well, maybe Cloud more so than Danny, but
Danny is like the worst communicator
yeah,
I've
never
ever
mind.
seen on
Can't even touch it.
television.
But wait, Claude? Oh my gosh.
Claude.
Cla
Cloud.
Cloud? Claude.
Mr. iCloud himself.
Why do I have such trouble pronouncing this name? Claude. Is that right?
Yes,
Claude. Okay.
Claude.
Clyde?
Claude.
Okay.
Claude.
Claude.
Wait, that reminds me of one more How I Met Your Mother reference
Oh my
where,
God.
sorry. Um, so Robin comes back from Argentina after her breakup with Ted in season 3, and she's dating Enrique Iglesias, but his character's name is Gael, like Gael, Gael.
Oh,
And then
Gael.
he's introducing himself to the whole friend group, and he's like, Gael. And they're like, Gael? And he goes, Gael. Gail? Girl? Just can't
Claude?
get it right. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Claude,
Cloud. Cloud.
where we started.
Cloud. Because I feel like he's Italian, right? So he should have like a more Italian name.
Yeah. Oh,
Claude.
I actually have a note on why his name was Claude. So this whole show was based on a movie, from what year
The
did
80s or
this one
something,
come out?
right?
Yeah, the 80s. And in that movie, Danny is not gay. He is married to an Italian woman named Claudia. And so I think they just adapted it for a man's name, and that's why his name is Claude. But I don't know if Claude is a an Italian name for a man or if it's just Claudia.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, then that makes a lot more sense because I was like, why is this man? Wouldn't it be Claudio or something if it's Italian?
Maybe, yeah, you would think so.
Yeah, not Cloud.
But yeah, Claude was my favorite character. What a sweet little angel baby.
Yeah, he was
So
mine
cute.
too.
The way, oh my gosh, in the summer episode when they're at the beach resort, the actually nice beach resort, and he just cuddles up next to Danny on the beach chair. I was like, you're so cute.
Oh my God, so cute. Wait, also I love that little ploy that they did where they're like, we're gonna go to this hike. It's gonna be like a 45-minute hike, super strenuous. It's gonna be horrible. I mean, it's gonna be awesome. You guys are gonna like hate it, but yeah, we're gonna go. And then they went to the beach resort because everyone's like, I'm out.
So
What a
good.
genius
So good.
plan.
I was like, I need to take notes on this and pull this move in the future at some point.
But
Yeah.
I did want to add, speaking of the movie with the with Claudia, we looked this up before we started recording. So the original movie is 4 seasons, 1981. It will actually be coming out on Netflix on May 5th. So you'll be able to watch the original movie as
Great.
well.
So by the time this episode is released, listeners, you can go and stream the movie.
Correct. Yes.
I did read an Elle magazine article about the differences between the movie and the show. Do you want me to go
Okay.
through them?
Yes.
Okay. Number one, Nick does not die in the movie.
That's a big one.
Yeah. I
Whoa.
think he just lives happily ever after.
Does he still, okay, does he still date like a younger woman, Ginny?
Yes, Ginny is a character and she still gets pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's one difference.
I wonder why they killed Nick off.
Such a shocking, I know, I was so shocked when it happened. And yeah, they just made it up. Um, Two, I already mentioned this one. Danny is not gay in the movie, and he's married to an Italian woman named Claudia. Third is that in the movie, Danny is a hypochondriac, and he's not, he's like basically the opposite of what he is in the show.
That is
Yeah.
interesting. How does a hypochondriac like go with someone like Claude, who was really obsessed about the well-being? How does
Yeah.
that pairing work? Because that feels like
Right.
that doesn't play into the tension that they faced as a couple at all.
That's so true. Maybe their conflict in the movie is different or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
But
Okay.
she's still like intense and Italian.
Yeah.
Um, okay, fourth, Lila doesn't stage a play in the movie, which I think they probably just didn't have time for because it's a movie.
Mm.
Um, but here they really got to explore that. And then the fifth one is that Kate and Jack don't do couples counseling. So I think also in the movie they just had less time to explore Kate and Jack's relationship. So I'm guessing, I haven't seen the movie, but I'm guessing Kate and Jack do serve as that anchor couple that we're just observing all of these other couples' conflicts through their point of view in the movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Do you think I mean, maybe we'll watch the movie and find out, but I wonder if the movie is more of a about the main couple of Nick and Anne and not so the other couples.
maybe. Yeah, maybe. The other one that I didn't write down, but I remember from reading the article is that I think Danny is the one that falls into the lake in the last in at the end, not Kate. I think it's Danny. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there are seem to be a lot of similarities as well though from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
movie.
like someone's falling into a lake, someone's a hypochondriac.
Yeah, but the big one that Nick died.
Yeah,
Weird.
yeah,
Okay, I will say the fact that Nick died did make me be a little bit kinder to him. Because throughout the entire, like I said before, throughout the entire series, I was like, fuck this guy. Oh my God.
hmm
He like doesn't listen to anyone. He's like classic toxic masculinity, thinks he's always right, going for the younger, hotter version of his wife.
yep, yep.
Um, yeah.
I agree. And the his death also gave me way more empathy for Ginny, I think.
Yeah.
Up until then, I was like, Ginny, go away. But then after he died, I was like, oh, Ginny's really hurting too.
Yeah, and I was really upset that they didn't let her talk at the funeral. Yeah. I mean, they did acknowledge I mean, Anne did acknowledge that that was a miss at the end, which I'm glad. But I was like, how could you not? Anyway,
Um,
oh,
anyway.
one thing I wanted to ask you, okay, who do you most identify with out of all of the characters?
I want to say Jack. I think I'm a
Oh,
Jack. Yeah. Just, you know. kind-hearted, well-meaning, but probably annoy my partner in some ways.
Yeah, I get that. I think I'm a Kate sun and I am a Claude moon.
Yeah, I have some Claude in me also.
Yeah, like I acknowledge that. I think I can be a little bit smothering. So I'm trying my best not to do that, but also I think in general, I live my life as Kate.
Mm, mm-hmm. That's why we work so well together.
Kate
You're the
and
Kate
Jack.
to my Jack.
Oh my gosh, you're the Jack to my Kate. Should we go to therapy?
Okay, so going back to the summer episode. Number one, when Steve Carell took off his shirt and ran into the ocean, I was like, damn, Steve Carell! This man is now a silver fox. What happened?
Yeah. Had some
Um,
personal training.
yeah, he had something. Pilates, I don't know.
I
Uh,
will say though that in The Office, Michael Scott was not unfit. Like Michael Scott was still fit in The Office. He was just like a little socially awkward and a little oblivious.
okay.
Yes.
I guess I'm imagining him in like slightly oversized suits, and I think that's just masking my impression of his body.
Oh, to be fair, I don't think I'm trying to remember. Maybe during the 5K episode he had his shirt off, maybe.
Mm,
But in general,
he's
yeah,
pretty
no, I think
bundled in that show.
yeah. I think him is to you as The Office is to me.
I'm like, oh, the 5K episode. When was that again?
Where Andy had his nipples chafed and he was like bleeding from his nipples. That scarred me.
From a 5K,
Yeah,
Andy, what's going on?
yeah. And then Steve Carell had to carbo load on
Oh
fettuccine
yeah,
Alfredo.
oh, fucking fettuccine. I remember this. Okay, the next thing, this eco-friendly resort, as they say, was using single-use containers all over the place. It was like single-use cardboard for the food, single-use plastic for the cups. It's like, what is going on? This ain't no eco
Oh,
lodge. Even if you
yeah.
compost it, here's a PSA. Even if you compost it, it takes so much energy to produce those things that reusable is always better. It is always better. If you're going to use it at least 100 times, which a hotel will definitely do, they should be using reusable.
Oh, because you're talking about those brown boxes that fold into each other, but it's because of that like lining on the inside, right? It's like a coated lining, and that's what makes it also super hard to recycle or
That
compost.
is true. Sometimes it's a wax lining, which is compostable, but oftentimes it is plastic. But even if it is fully compostable, it's still so much less eco-friendly than reusable. If you're going to
Mm.
reuse it, if like the number of times a hotel could reuse things, even with the water usage, reusable always better because the amount of energy it takes to produce each single-use container is so much that like
Mm.
you're going through so much of that every single day. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, good to know. Reusable is the way and not compostable.
Yes. If you're going to use your reusable thing many times. Like if you
Yes.
buy a new Stanley Cup every year, that's not that's not as eco-friendly as using the same plastic water bottle for a month.
Wait, what happens? Okay, what if you do buy a Stanley Cup? What do you do with your old Stanley Cup? Can you recycle those?
Kind of doubt it because I think it's a bunch of mixed materials. I don't think it would be very easy to recycle
Like you
because I
definitely
don't
couldn't
know.
just toss it in the recycling bin. You would have to be like, oh, this particular part or this particular part could be recycled.
Yeah, because the handle has some rubber on it and plastic, but then the interior of the cup is steel. So I think it just gets a little complicated. Yeah,
Rough, rough.
yeah. Recycling issue, waste issue in the world is bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Well, reusable for many
well,
times.
reusable, yes, yes.
For many
And don't
times.
keep buying reusable things.
Right.
Um,
One and
yes.
done.
Yes.
Forever.
Forever.
Becomes family heirlooms. This is my grandma's Tupperware container.
I've had this Stanley Cup in my family for 3 generations.
That would be really nice, honestly. Think of how many plastic bottles you would save if you were handing down your Stanley Cups generation after generation.
My generational wealth, a Stanley Cup.
3 Stanley Cups in this Tupperware set.
Okay, my next comment is also in the summer episode. Did you notice that when they're paddleboarding, Kate and Ginny have the same print on their bathing suits? Ginny's wearing a bikini and Tina Fey's wearing like a wetsuit rash guard type thing, but
Mhm.
it's the same exact print. So I was like, is this a hotel's provided swimsuit? What's going on?
Oh, I didn't notice that. I think it
Yeah.
was, yeah, maybe it was just here's a rash guard thing that you can wear and because you're gonna go stand up something, you know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't notice that at all.
Mm.
Oh my
And
God, oh, sorry, I was just reminded of Steve Carell like going up those rocks and then like splitting his foot open.
also, how do you not notice you're walking on urchins until
That's
10
what I
seconds
was
later?
I was gonna say that too. I mean, I've never gotten hurt by a sea urchin, but if they're that spiky and you're losing that much blood, then like
Yeah,
why did that not clock earlier?
seriously. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was the intros of each episode. So each
Yeah.
episode, like in the spring episode, they have the spring color come in and like grow the tree. And then in the summer, they have that, blah, blah, blah. But also in each episode, if you look closely, there's a symbol that comes with the flowers that come in. And it's always a symbol for each episode. Did you notice that?
That is so cool. I only noticed I noticed that the intro was different per episode according to the season. So I understood that. I was like, oh, okay, there's 2 episodes per season. That makes sense. And I only noticed the symbol in the winter episode. There was like a little guitar that came up, and I was like, why is there a guitar? That's so weird.
That's
But
random.
yeah, I didn't realize that there was a symbol for each of the episodes. So what were
Yes.
they?
So in spring, the first one was a crawfish. It's kind of in the top right part of the tree.
Oh, because of the crawfish boil.
Mm-hmm. Crawfish boil. Also, shout out to our friend Chris from Louisiana,
Oh.
who hosts a crawfish boil for the Super Bowl every year. The second one was a little fire that you can see come up in the tree. But it's the same color as the spring flowers, so it's hard to tell, but after the tree stops growing, it's like a little fire that comes up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, for the
Okay.
pottery shed.
Yeah.
Then in summer, it was a strawberry for the first one, and then an urchin in the second one.
Oh my God, wait, speaking of the strawberry thing, I felt so bad. I was like cringing all throughout that episode where she was so like strawberry and then she like that guy Carlos was like, "Oh, chica fresa." And then she took forever to like unbox and unpack that strawberry figurine. I was like, "Girl, it is not
I
worth
know.
it. It is not worth it. What are you doing?"
Oh my God, they created that scene so well of her like calling her friend and be like, "Should I sleep with my surf instructor?" And then
My God.
and then she goes over and she's like, "Wait, reality is so different from what was in my imagination." Oh my God,
Yeah.
and the whole time he's like, it's okay. You don't have to do this." And she's like, "No, no,
Yeah.
no, it's fine. It's fine."
And then
Oh,
at the end, he
so
was like,
cringe.
"Have a nice night." And she was like, "I need wine to go." Oh, I felt so
Yeah.
bad for her.
I know, I know. Okay, yeah, so that one was strawberry and urchin. Then fall was an axe for the first one, which I think was for the gay lumberjack guy,
Oh.
and then a sandwich for the second one. And then winter was the guitar, and the last one was the stripper heel. The
Oh
stripper heel
God.
urn.
God. And like what in what world is that the default urn?
That funeral home was pissing me off. I was like, there's no
Seriously.
reason. I was gonna call him Randy. There's no reason Jack should have been right about this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so unrealistic.
Yeah, seriously. I also was really, I don't know, I took Kate's side in that fight between her and Jack, where she was like, you always make things worse, like in every situation, and I always have to go clean up. And that's why it's just easier for me to do all of the things versus you to do them, because then I don't have to clean up your mess and then also then do the thing. I was like, dang, I understand that.
Yeah, when he said, "Oh, just because I didn't do it your way, blah blah blah," and she's like, "It's not that you didn't do it my way; it's that you didn't do it."
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, so true.
My gosh. And then when he was like, she was like, oh, did you talk to Ginny? And he was like, I thought I was supposed to talk to Anne. I was like, how is it not implied that you're supposed to talk to both? You're supposed to close the loop, my guy. Oh my God,
I
I
know.
raged.
He doesn't take ownership over
Yes.
his tasks. He just executes the task, but
Yes.
doesn't
Does not
think
think through.
critically about the impact his tasks are making.
Does not think about the value prop and executes on the value prop.
Correct.
Oh well.
I'm still a Jack.
Still, she'll beat me. I don't think you're a Jack in that way. Should we rate?
Yes.
I'll go first. I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. I don't know what would make this a 10 out of 10. Maybe I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I don't know.
It's gonna give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I truly think this show deserves a 10 out of 10. All the characters had their lovable moments. I just love this show. The storylines, the conflicts, the thoughts it brought up about my own life, and
Mm.
just it was put together so beautifully. I loved the little intro. I loved, we haven't even talked about this, all the Vivaldi music of the
Terrific.
four
Yeah, I was about
seasons.
to say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also all they played like the actual Vivaldi music, and then they kind of played like variations on the Vivaldi themes. Loved it. Just so good. 10 out of 10.
Okay, you're so right. I'm gonna do 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Yay! I think this is our first 10 out of 10 across the board must watch. So,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. You know, I am really excited about watching this again when I'm in my 50s because I do think Tina Fey has such a good storytelling capability that she really makes you feel like you're in your 50s. But I think
Felt like I was 50 years old watching this.
the way that she tells stories, like she puts things together in a very relatable light that if you think that you're going through something alone, you'll like watch one of her stories that she's written and you're like, oh, I didn't know that this was such a unique or such a not unique experience because I kind of felt alone in this. So yeah, I'm excited to watch it when I'm 54, when I have 20 more years of experience. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Totally.
Yay!
Yay. We didn't do our segment.
Yes, let's do our
Oh,
new
yeah.
segment. The now binging corner, name TBD. Shalini, what are you watching?
Okay, so I just finished watching The Pit on Max. It's a show about an ER. It's actually, I think, the same executive producer as ER. The actor who plays the main character was also in ER, but he plays a different character. Anyway, so it's in an emergency room, super fast-paced, action-packed, and like so many great moments of television. Just an excellent show. I would also rate that a 10 out of 10 if we did that on this show.
Whoa, is that
Yeah.
also like a hospital drama or what is it?
I would say like it's a hospital action show. I wouldn't call it a hospital drama because it's not, the drama that happens is not really about the doctors in the same way that like Grey's Anatomy and stuff are.
Mm.
It's more about the cases that they deal with and the emotional burden that these people coming into the emergency room are experiencing. And I don't want to give it away, but like there's this huge event that happens that brings a bunch of people to the emergency room all at once. And so like the doctor's having to deal with that, but then going back to their normal job. So it's done so well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, the pit.
And then yes, The Pit. Um And the other show, which I'm watching, which I am always watching, is Gilmore Girls.
Classic.
I am currently in season 1, towards the end of season 1.
Okay, so I knew that you were a huge fan of Gilmore Girls and you've seen Gilmore Girls like so many, like N thousand times or
Yes.
so all the way through. But I did not realize the extent to which you have memorized literally every scene of Gilmore Girls to the point that when there are small technical glitches, you notice that. That is crazy to me.
I honestly had never noticed it before this time around, but there are a few scenes in season 1. I'll add them into this podcast episode where for a split second, there's like a green dot that comes in the middle of the screen. And then goes away. And then the first time I saw it, I was like, whoa, what? Did I see that right? And then I rewound it, and it was really there. But yeah, that goes
That's
to show
crazy to
how
me.
many times I've watched this.
Like forget like being able to repeat it word for word, but like the split second green dot that comes up is insane. For context, though, Shalini also sent me, what was it, like a 5 second long clip, and she's like, "Oh, I'm looking at like what are these glitches?" And she like took the clip and then sent it to me, and I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, what am I looking at here? This is like just a
Which is
regular, yeah, it's a regular scene to me."
yeah. At work in Microsoft Teams, you can send GIFs in Teams, and there are a lot of Gilmore Girls GIFs. And my coworkers discovered once that if they send me a GIF, I can usually identify what episode it's from just from the little thing.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Wow. Crazy. Well, I can't, listeners, if you're watching this video podcast, here's an advantage to you. See if you can spot these glitches in the clips, because I could not.
Ruchi, what are you binging these days?
What am I binging? I started watching Ransom Canyon, as you know,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
could not really get through it. I think I gave up on episode 3 or so. But
Did it get you excited at all to move to Texas temporarily?
no, not at all. The whole show, oh my God, it was so funny. So, like, the whole show, it takes place in Texas, very masculine in all senses of the word. I did appreciate how it felt like it was made for the female gaze. Like, definitely a lot of super buff men with their shirts off for no reason, very, like, stone-faced, unfortunately, also very emotionally inarticulate. But
Just a
also,
Texan man.
yeah, like very, very masculine. And so one of the main leads, the woman, I forget her name.
Minka Kelly.
Oh, is that her name?
The one that plays Quinn.
Yes, Quinn. I forgot her character name. Yes, Minka Kelly, the girl who, the woman who plays Quinn. She is obviously owns her own ranch, can do all this hard work, but all of the scenes that we see of her is like, "Oh, I'm making lavender soap," and I'm like, "Oh, is it because she's a
Go
woman?"
tend to your ranch.
Yeah, it's because she's a woman. She can only make lavender soap. And then there's like another really funny line that I just like made myself laugh really hard. Where the guy Staten is talking to Cap, who's another super old ranch hand, and Staten is like, "We have to do what's best for our town because of our legacy. Like, we have to take care of our ranch." And then Cap, the old guy, is like, "What legacy? All of our sons are dead." And then I was like, "And all of our daughters are women." Like, all 12 of our daughters are just women. They don't know how to run a ranch.
Oh no. But
To be
actually,
fair, They didn't have
daughters, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
to be
okay.
fair, they didn't
Okay.
have daughters, but I was just like, if they did have daughters, it'd be so funny that they would be like, and our daughters, they're women.
Oh boy. Okay, so that show was a DNF. Did not finish.
Yeah, it did not
Yes.
finish.
Okay.
Yes. For context,
For
we
me as
had,
well.
yeah, we had scheduled this recording time to talk about Ransom Canyon, but we could not make it through. So apologies to anyone who was
Anyone who-
excited about Ransom Canyon. Sorry, Sarah. Whoops. But I had mentioned this at the beginning of the episode. After I finished 4 seasons, I was really craving more Tina Fey. So I watched a bunch of Tina Fey movies that are also on Netflix. So I watched Sisters and I watched Baby Mama.
Oh, I love
Baby
Baby
Fuller.
Mama. I also saw Crazy Stupid Love came up as a suggested movie for me to watch, which is
Oh.
Steve Carell kind of plays a very similar character in that movie. So I don't know if that movie is like trending right now because of 4 seasons or what.
Probably. I do think there was an uptick on Tina Fey movies being pushed to me even before 4 seasons came out. So I watched Baby Mama, then I watched 4 seasons, and then I watched Sisters afterwards.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and I think after this I'll probably watch the 4 seasons movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe I'll watch The
Alright.
Pit.
Yeah, maybe I won't watch Ransom Canyon.
I think we've given up.
One thing about me though, I will be watching Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, the now watching corner is always just gonna be like, okay, Shalini, what season of Gilmore Girls are you watching?
No, literally. Thanks for yapping with us. If you loved this episode, have some hot takes we missed, or if you've got a show you're dying for us to binge next, follow us on socials. We're at Binge Yap Repeat.
Until next time, happy binging!